Well, finally, after all these years, I get to see Peter White once again. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I
Couldn't be
know.
better.
You look wonderful. You sound wonderful. And we at Wave 98.3 in Vancouver are so happy, that we have you on our radio station in British Columbia. Beautiful Vancouver needs Peter White.
Yes,
Eh,
it's been too long since I've been to Vancouver.
Yes, you must
And
come and do a show for us, maybe at the Blue Frog
I
Studios,
would
which
love
is
I would love to do that.
yeah, well, let's talk about that later. But what I want to talk about now is, of course, Berks Jazz Fest coming up in April, 32 years. How many have you played? Do you know offhand?
I've played at least 20, maybe 25.
Wow.
I'm going to
Wow.
think the first one. So you say 24 years?
32 years of Berks Jazz.
30, sorry. 32 years. Wow. Well, that takes us back to 1992.
Uh,
And yeah, I just released my second album. So I think the first time I played at Berks was 93, or it may have been 94.
so when you look
And
at all the years of Berks Jazz Fest in Reading, Pennsylvania, huge number of your colleagues and friends show up, have a wonderful time every year. What makes Berks so special to you?
there's a huge variety of artists, probably more than any other festival. There's a huge variety of venues. So you can go from one venue and sing one artist and go straight to another venue to see another artist. And I played a lot of the different venues, and um, there's this great sense of camaraderie. Is that how you pronounce it? Camaraderie,
Camaraderie.
friendship,
Yeah.
between all the artists, and we always end up having a jam session somewhere. So it's really fun for the concert goers to see that, to see us play in combinations which they may not see anywhere else.
And a lot of these combinations, who are you playing with this year at Berks Jazz
I'm
on your
actually playing with
official?
Richard Elliott and Rick Braun,
So,
and they're
so
good friends of mine. We've been playing shows together since 30 years ago.
yeah.
So, we know each other very well, and we have a lot of time, a lot of fun playing together.
Are you going to change your name to like Ricky or Richard or Richie or something? So you,
Richard, Rick, and well, I'm the P,
yeah.
RPR. I'm the yeah. No.
No, you're
I
not.
once
Okay, fine. That's fine.
I
So
once thought
when,
of using my middle. I once
what
thought
if,
of using my middle name,
what's your middle
Peter
name?
Harry White,
Oh,
as
Harry.
my stage name, and so now I'm Peter White, but there are actually other Peter Whites who are entertainers that I get confused with. There's one in Australia, there's one in England, a comedian in England, there's a guitar player in Germany, there's even a singer in Italy whose name is Peter White. I don't know why his name is Peter White. He's Italian.
His name should be Peter
He's
Blanco.
so I yeah, he could be Pietro Bianco,
Exactly.
but you know,
Okay, so
I
let me ask
I'm
you.
okay with my name.
Let me ask you though about Burke. So you're officially playing with Rick Braun and Richard Elliott, but do you get up at other people's shows? Do you just like do these random jams? How does that all happen?
Well, it may happen. Yeah, they
Yeah.
happen. There's nothing planned because these are very spontaneous. But yeah, I may get up and play with someone else. Yeah, absolutely.
If there was one entertainer, maybe somebody new on the scene, or just somebody that you've never had the chance to play with who's going to be at Burke's this year in April, who would that be that you would want to play with?
Well, I have to look at the list of entertainers, and I don't have that list in front of me. So I've played with everyone that I ever wanted to play with, quite honestly.
Wow.
Uh,
Didn't you say Dolly Parton that you wanted to do Jolene?
I would love to play with Dolly Parton. I'd play Jolene and she could sing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I would be very happy because she's an American icon. She's a musical icon, and everybody loves Dolly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to play guitar with her and hang out. Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? Exactly. I would like to be there
I
while you're
got to
hanging
hang out with
out.
George Benson. I got to hang out with George Benson recently and got to know him, which was fantastic. I had no desire to play on stage with George Benson. I don't think I'd be able to play. I'd just be looking at him and saying to myself, "It's George Benson."
Yeah. Well, we all have our idols, right?
Yeah, yeah. He's been an idol of mine since the '70s,
Yeah.
and changed the way I felt about guitar because the way he played the guitar, I thought was more like a piano, the way that
Wow.
you play the piano.
Yeah.
It's just my personal viewpoint, but the way I thought about guitar up till then was pretty much like blues based because blues is really based upon guitar and the way the guitar is tuned to play a pentatonic scale is very easy. To play a major scale on the guitar is not easy. It's a lot harder. And I didn't even play a major scale on the guitar till I was probably 16. And I'm hearing George playing, and he's playing scales all over the place, which I never even thought about. But then again, no one ever gave me a lesson. So I just kind of learnt by listening and watching other guitarists play and figuring out things that they did.
Yes. Wait a minute.
And then
You've never had a guitar lesson?
no,
Not even
no,
one?
no. I once sat with there was a jazz guitarist that I met in London when I was about 18, and I asked him to show me some chords, and he spent about 5 minutes showing me some chords, some jazz chords, and that was probably the only lesson that I had, maybe 5 minutes.
That is
But
bizarre.
I just listened, and that's how I got involved in the music business because when I started, actually it was almost exactly 50 years ago, April in 1974, that I started my first gig as a professional musician, and there were no charts, music charts, and there was no rehearsal, and I just had to get up on stage and play, and I could hear the chord. The organist was playing chord, and I could be one step behind him, and that's how I learned a lot of songs that way. And when I went to play with Al Stewart, which was a few months later, same thing, no charts. I think most people, and I was playing piano for Al Stewart. I started playing piano,
So I read
and
that.
and
This no,
and
wait a
he
minute. We got to stop just for a sec because when I read that this morning, I thought that's a typo. You played piano keyboards for Al Stewart.
yeah, I always played piano, and most musicians do.
Mm,
Most musicians who play another instrument usually play piano because it's kind of the bedrock of musical arrangement comes from the piano, I think. So, and my dad insisted that I play the piano. So when I went to join Al Stewart already had a guitar player. So, and I realize now, and not then, but now I do, that being someone who was interested in rock music, playing the piano and being able to play by ear was kind of unusual because most piano players play by music,
right.
and that's how you learn.
Yeah.
And I
So
could read music, but I was so used to playing by ear that I was able to easily learn his songs and did an audition, which was the easiest audition I've ever done. I just had to learn 3 songs by ear and play them with a band. I didn't have to be a virtuoso. That started my touring career with Al Stewart and recording, and that changed my life.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was 20
It's
years
only
then.
later that he
Yeah.
realized. It was later that he realized I could play the guitar, and I started playing the guitar in this band. But that came later.
Tell us a story, which I find really fascinating, about how you switched or why you switched from electric guitar to acoustic guitar.
Well, when I was 15, I was living, with my family in the countryside, and my younger brother and I shared a bedroom, and which was a mistake because he turned out to be a pyromaniac, and he started playing with matches, lighting matches, and I guess he was lighting matches and then throwing them away and lighting another one, and set fire to our bedroom. Quite honestly, he set fire to everything on a Sunday afternoon. You know, we were having Sunday lunch, and I could smell burning, and that was my guitar. My guitar, which was in the bedroom, became part of that fire. So I was very upset because my electric guitar. I'd only had my electric guitar for maybe 2 weeks,
Oh no.
and I was forced to go back to playing my acoustic guitar. But at the same time, I started to hear a lot of acoustic guitar music on the radio. There was a whole folk revival, if you like, in the late 60s in England. Cat Stevens was part of that. James Taylor was part of it. Crosby, Stills and Nash. Simon and Garfunkel. Lots of acoustic guitar. And I started to realize, wow, Crosby, Stills and Nash. There's a real power to the acoustic guitar that I didn't really, because I was so focused on being the next Jimi Hendrix that I hadn't taken the trouble to listen to the wonderful acoustic guitar kind of revival that was going on. This was all after the British, what you would call the British invasion. We weren't invaded, so we didn't know what that was. But,
yeah, well, you were invaded by Joni Mitchell, and we sent some
the,
good Canadians over to you.
Yeah. But the electric guitar thing was huge. Everybody wanted to play electric guitar, including me. And then I went back to playing acoustic because my brother set fire to our bedroom. So thank you, Danny. He also introduced me to a lady called Basha many years later. So I have to thank him for that. I have to thank him for my entire career, actually.
Probably
because I play acoustic guitar now.
A lot of our listeners may not even realize that Danny White, of course, from Matt Bianco, and of course, that is where Basha was singing lead vocals, and we play Matt Bianco on the Wave, and that's Danny White, your pyromaniac brother, right there is the guy.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Peter, we are delighted to be involved with Berks Jazz again this year, and I mean, I just want to say to our Vancouver listeners, I've seen you perform live, and you are hilariously funny, and I mean that as a great entertainer. I still remember at the Smooth Jazz Awards, and I think you were playing Bueno Funk or something, and you turned around with sunglasses on and brought the house down. I mean, it was a great rock and roll smooth jazz moment.
It's a moment that actually started with Richard Elliott. I was doing a show with Richard. This just goes back 25 years.
Yeah.
And he said to the audience, Peter White, he's like the James Bond of smooth jazz.
Ooh.
And I started playing and it became part of the show.
Yeah.
To this day, that became part of the show. And then I put on the dark glasses, and it's kind of a Men in Black thing. So
it's a beautiful moment.
Having great musical friends who add to my show and who make suggestions and come up with stuff. The show is constantly evolving, and I allow that, and I have joy in the fact that the show evolves because of the different musicians that I play with. If I only played with the same musicians every show, I'm sure the show would not evolve like it has.
Well, let's try to get you up to Vancouver to do a show, and maybe you could bring along you know what? We have some amazing musicians in Vancouver. Maybe we just get you a Vancouver band and you evolve yet again with new people.
That would be good. So I would just go up there with my guitar, and then we'd have a quick rehearsal.
That's right.
And then we'd do a show.
That's right.
If you can find the musicians, I'll do it.
I know people. I do. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Peter White. I know you're in LA and you're getting ready for Reading, Pennsylvania in April. And oh, wow. And I just want to mention last night, big night for Dr. Dave Cause. I saw that you were part of that last night. Yeah.
Yeah. He got to the Presidential Humanitarian of the Year award.
Yeah.
Which was, and also he got an honorary doctorate.
That's right. We have to call him Doc now.
And it was quite overwhelming. And he gave a fantastic speech, outlining how he started and all the obstacles he had to overcome. But there's a guy that I've done so many shows with Dave, and he's had me on his Christmas tour. 7 or 8 of those I've done. Also, he puts on a cruise every year, which very often I'm a part of. So Dave is a person who's totally enriched my life. My life is so much better because Dave Cars is in it. And
Well,
I couldn't say that about everybody, but certainly about Dave. So I love him. He's a great friend, and would do anything for him.
Well, he has his radio show on Wave 98.3. We have you on Wave 98.3. And of course, you've been a part of the Wave for as long as the Wave has been the Wave. And we are always delighted to know that you're out there playing and hopefully maybe giving us some new music soon. Are you planning perhaps a new album?
I'm finishing an album right now, which will be out in a few months.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So. Yes.
Good. What's it called? Do you have a name?
I'm calling it Light of Day.
Nice.
It's about hope. This is mostly recorded during the pandemic. So it's about seeing light at the end of the tunnel, really.
Wonderful. We all need that for sure. Okay, yeah. Peter White, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with me. And
thank you, Vickie.
It's
always a pleasure.
Lots of love to you and Berks Jazz. Go team. All right. Thank you.
See you there.
Okay.